All right, I just wanted to start a little video showing how to begin baking sourdough. First, I want to go through some of the tools that might be necessary and maybe some that aren't necessary. First, we have the sourdough starter that you can get from somebody. It's easier than making your own, usually just in some sort of a glass jar with a lid. I keep mine in the fridge when I'm not using it, and you can secure it with the lid on tight. When you're feeding your starter and letting it grow, you just leave a lid on loosely and not secure it tightly. I just keep a little bit of starter. I don't have to keep a lot. And then when I'm ready to prepare a batch, depending on how big the batch is, I will feed it accordingly, and I'll go through some of the starter maintenance as well. You need some sort of a big bowl so that you can mix your dough in. I like a stainless steel bowl, one that's big enough that can accommodate various sizes of batches. I usually, when I'm feeding my starter, I'll put it in another glass bowl like this so I can measure and give it room to grow. And then I'll just keep my jar back in the fridge. For your dough, as it's rising or proofing, you want some sort of a graduated container, usually a straight-sided container, so that you can watch the growth and measure the growth. If it's just a bowl like this, you might not be able to really tell how much it's growing. And as you're watching your dough proof, there are some specific units that you will watch to know when it's risen as much as you want. And you actually, one of the other tools that you'll need too is a thermometer, because you'll measure the temperature of your dough to know exactly how much it needs to rise. Also, sourdough dough and starter should not go down the sink because it hardens and it will create some pretty significant clogs. And so one thing that I do when I'm working with my sourdough, I have a strainer that I use, but then I have also found that these little mesh nets that'll go over the strainer will catch all of the sourdough starter or dough that I'm using. So anytime I'm washing a bowl or something with my sourdough, I'll throw out any excess in the trash can. Then any washing is done strained through this, and then I can just take this net off and throw it away at the end, but try not to let any go down the drain. You also have to have a digital scale. That's a must. You also need a dough scraper. This plastic one will curve and fold, and it will get the dough out of the curved bowls. You also need a bench scraper, and this will be to help shape and help to cut and help to maneuver your dough. Some people like to use a French whisk. I think that's what this is, or an Italian whisk. I don't know which one this is. I have determined I don't like this. It's too hard to clean in the crevices. I use just a rubber scraper, and then when I'm doing my early mixes, I use a latex glove. As it progresses and you're doing more of your stretch and folds, you don't even need that. Just hands that are a little bit wet, and you do just fine. Also, for your dough, for your bread, you'll need something to shape your bread in. They have these baskets. They have the oval ones that are called bannetons and the round ones that are called batards. Both are just fine. The round one looks really nice, can be decorative for things. I find that the bannetons, the oval ones, are easier because if you're using it for toast or for anything else, it just slices nicer. The big round ones create variations in your sizes. You also need to cover those when they're proofing, and so you can go on Amazon and buy in bulk these disposable shower caps is what these are, and that will go over the top and do well. You also will need bread flour. I get mine in bulk at Costco in the big 25-pound bags. You also need a little bit of rice flour. The rice flour is used towards the end to prevent some sticking in different places, but also without that absorbing into the dough itself. Also, you'll need a Dutch oven of sorts. You can do it without, but it's much easier with the Dutch oven. Big heavy Dutch oven that's going to help to keep the steam in for part of it. I also like to use the silicone slings because it makes it much easier to get in and out of the Dutch ovens. I've also found that if I just bake my bread right in the Dutch oven, the bottom gets cooked a little bit dark and makes it a little bit hard to cut through. So I've used these baking beads that are used for cooking pie crusts, for doing a blind bake of pie crust. I put those in the bottom, and then those just cover the bottom a little bit. And then when I put my bread, my loaf on the sling, I can put it in the Dutch oven, and then it makes it work much nicer. So that's the basics for your materials and your supplies. In just a second, we'll talk about prepping your starter.